So Nintendo has updated its privacy policy to account for game chat because very soon they will be selling a new system with a camera accessory with the intention that most people will purchase this camera and use it for game chat. It will capture images of their faces and audio of their voices, and so they have kind of had to address this. And they've said some stuff in this here privacy policy that's got people feeling a little bit nervous. It says as follows. It says the following words: our services may allow you to create, upload, or share content such as text, images, audio, video, your nickname and user icon, or other content that you create or is licensed to you with your consent. And to enforce our terms, we may also monitor and record your video and audio interactions with other users. And in kind of outlining the changes here, they say, we clarified that we may collect, monitor, and record audio and video of your chat sessions with other users to provide a safe and secure environment for certain of our services. Yeah, that sounds the way that it sounds like it sounds. That's basically Nintendo saying, we reserve the right to record you. You know, you're recording these things onto this system. You're putting your face and your voice onto the system, and you know what? It's connected to the internet. If you're talking with other people, it's definitely connected to the internet. It's all being processed through a Nintendo server, so they are reserving the right to record you. Now, it does say with your consent, and so it is technically possible that this will be like an opt-in thing. You know, like, oh, hey, if you want to like help improve our services, you can opt in. So it's possible that they will be offering some sort of a consent, and if you say no, then they won't do this. I am doubtful of that, though. To me, what this sounds like is, hey, do you want to use any of this at all? If you do, then you consent. You know, like, I mean, it may be like when you boot up a software or whatever, and it just says, like, you want to use this? You gotta say yes. Here's a wall of text. You gotta say yes if you want to use it at all, if you want to even install it. And I feel like that is a much more likely scenario. You want to do game chat at all, you got to say yes to our terms of service, and this is included in that. Now, here's the thing. I'm not going to immediately say this is heinous and it's awful and it means I'll never get a camera and I'll never play Switch 2 ever again. And I'm also not going to say it's good. You know, like, I'm not going to say this is fine. It's kind of in between. The problem with this is that you often get clauses like this, and they're not usually as bad of a thing as they sound like. Sometimes you have to include clauses like this just to make the service itself work at all. Like, basically, it's like, hey, by using this service, you are consenting to having yourself, your likeness and everything recorded and stored, because on some level, that is required for this to work literally at all. For the service to function. Kind of like how YouTube, the terms of service are terrifying. They really are. The way they describe it, it makes it sound like anything you put on YouTube is not yours anymore, and they can steal, and they can repackage, and they can use it any way that they want. It's kind of written that way, but that's just so they can cover themselves legally. They don't actually have plans to do that. If they did do that, then there would be a very big problem. You know, if YouTube randomly just started stealing content from people and just being like, sorry, you signed the terms of service, well, then there'd be a big thing and people would be mad at YouTube. Really, they put that in there because it's like, yeah, well, like, we're taking your video and we're storing it on our servers, and we are using an algorithm to advertise it to other people, and it can show up in many different services that pull from YouTube. And so just like the very nature of YouTube requires that you say yes taking my stuff and putting it places is okay. Do you know what I mean? So it's possible that there's some element of that here where they're just trying to like cover their bases legally. That's probably not the only part of it though. The problem is that Nintendo really does want to keep their customers safe, particularly kids. That's why it has taken them so long to catch up when it comes to just online play, online interactions between people on their systems. They've always tried to do it like their own special way. No, social media is bad. There's bad people on there. We gotta make Miiverse. We gotta make a special Nintendo social media so we can make it all safe and perfect and everything will be great. And they've slowly learned with each time they've tried that it's just like you're not gonna get what you want. You're not, you know what I mean? Like if you want to compete, you gotta give us what we want. We need communication. You're not gonna be able to just make it all perfect. Fairy pixie land, everything is wonderful candy. Nobody ever says a bad word and nobody ever has to see a picture of something that they don't want to see. Like it's just kind of the way that it goes. And I feel like at this point, they're like, all right, we get it. There could be problems. We are letting people record their voices and their faces on their Switches and share them. So we are reserving the right to record stuff and use that to make decisions as needed. You know what I mean? Like ultimately, this may just be like more of a legal thing where, you know, there are a lot of devices around us which are monitoring us all the time. And that's not even necessarily to say that somebody is witnessing this data, seeing these recordings, but then sometimes if there's like a criminal case, someone has committed a crime and like, you know, the government will go to these companies and be like, hey, give us your surveillance footage, essentially. Like, this person has committed a crime. They've given up their rights to privacy. So give us what you got so we can figure out what they did or if they did it or whatever. It could be that Nintendo is just kind of like, just in case there is a problem, you know, just in case there are issues of, you know, underage people having Nintendo accounts and getting hooked up with the wrong people, we want to be able to monitor people just enough to like help that. Or if there is like an actual like criminal case, like if the law enforcement has to get involved, then yes, we are going to be obtaining this kind of info and sharing it with them. All this to say, I really do not know much about this at all. I really don't. I will admit that completely. This is all just kind of speculation. So yeah, basically, like I said, it's kind of in the middle where on the one hand, I don't like that Nintendo is doing this, but on the other hand, it's kind of what every company does. And that doesn't make it right, but it does make it normal. But it does make it not like another case. I see a lot of people, it's another case of Nintendo completely losing their minds, completely losing their, it's like this feels bog standard to me for a company with a camera accessory creating like an online social kind of thing. I don't know. I could be wrong. It could be that it did not need to be worded this way. It could be that it's not necessary. But it doesn't feel like Nintendo monitoring us. It doesn't feel like they're going to use this for any nefarious purposes. And that's really the thing. I can't see Nintendo spying on us and using this for these evil purposes, at least not any more so than any other company. You know, again, doesn't make it right. I don't like it, but I don't think this is just Nintendo being uniquely evil Nintendo. Like, I don't know, and it is true. Like, I'm accepting this now, but then like the Xbox One, when they announced that it was like it had to have Kinect hooked to it and it had to be connected to the internet at all times, it was like, oh, so you want to spy on us, huh? You're gonna have a camera connected to the internet and watching me all the time? Oh, that's terrible. And then you fast forward to today, and it's like, it's hard for me to care anymore because I have a phone. Like, I don't know. I could be worried about the Nintendo camera and Nintendo spying on me. But if I am infinitely more worried about my phone and about my, like, Google Home speakers around the house. If anyone's listening to me, they're doing it through those. They're doing it through this phone right here. It has a camera right on it, and he's always connected to the internet. Like, we give up our privacy simply by living in this society. Oh, sure, you could go off the grid. You could. It's up to you. You want to go live in the woods, it's technically your choice, but if you want to have, like, any of the benefits of society, you kind of have to immerse yourself in all of this awful stuff. And, again, doesn't make it right. I don't like it, but I don't know. It is the way that it is. I've got a phone. It's sitting right here. And I am way less trusting of Google than I am of Nintendo. So, I don't know. Maybe this is me defending a bad practice on the part of Nintendo, but it just kind of seems like it seems like they're just doing what they were gonna do. I really honestly don't see anything bad coming of it. In theory, someone who works at Nintendo can be watching me and watching my friends and listening to us, but how is that different from Discord? How is that different from literally anything else? Literally anything else where you have people digitally communicating to each other. It's literally all just right there. It's just sitting there. Whoever owns that platform, they have access to it. And there's like some platforms they'll say like, no, we encrypt your data. Like, yeah, maybe. Maybe you do. You know, I mean, it's got to hit your server before it becomes encrypted, right? You can just like look at it before you encrypt. I'm gonna look at these photos and then I'm gonna encrypt them. I don't know. Whatever. You know, I'm gonna buy that camera and I'm gonna hook it up and I'm gonna play games and it's gonna look at my face. And Shigeru Miyamoto himself is gonna watch me. I will know that he is watching me at every moment, even when I pause the game to like stare at the camera and really, really slowly eat a sandwich. He's gonna be on the other side being like, what's this guy doing? What's this guy up to? Ooh, there's a thought. I almost said cool thought. It's probably not a cool thought. It's pretty dystopian. So, okay, so the system, it's looking at your face all the time. They could like gather data on like how you react to different parts of games. That's some, yeah, that feels very dystopian, but I could somehow see it. If it's not already happening on like the phone. You know, like you're playing the latest Mario game and like they get to like see your emotions in real time and like gather data of like what parts of games people like the most and what causes them frustration and what causes them to like keep trying even though a thing is hard. Like you could gather so much like psychological data by observing a person as they play a game. But at the same time, can't you just watch streamers for that? No, because this is everybody. This will be like millions of people. You could test like each individual game. You could gather data on it. See, if Nintendo wanted to be kind of icky about it, that's what they could do. That's a free idea, Nintendo. There you go, free idea of how to completely abuse our trust and spy on us. If you want, just a suggestion.